Welcome back to Oddly Noted. Today we're going to be going over Seitz Concerto No. 5, First Movement. If you are using the Suzuki books for this piece, this is actually the first book that we get concertos. It's also some of the first times that we're shifting into third position. What you're also going to need to do is to number your measures in this piece so you know which spots I'm actually talking about. So make sure that you do it in pencil, not pen, because it is a piece of music and we only use pencils on music. What we're going to do to start off with is we're going to find 6 of the difficult spots. We're going to work on them. I recommend that you practice them 10 times every day and just get them to the point that they're memorized. And once they're memorized, the rest of the piece should come fairly easy to you. So let's go ahead and start with the first spot. Our first spot that we will be starting with is measure 90 through 93. For this spot, make sure that you're not using too much bow because when the piece goes faster, you're not going to want to use a whole lot of bow, but also make sure that you are aware of the string crossings and move your elbow appropriately for the right string. Let's go ahead and start really slowly. Let's go ahead and focus on some of the chords. Now the chords are a little intimidating in this piece because some of you have never played chords before or that much. So let's go ahead and start with the second to the last measure. Make sure that when you play chords that your bow is in between both strings. So it's as if here's your A string level, here's your E string level, here's in between, and that's where you want to be with both your elbow and your bow. Let's go ahead and play the last 2 measures. Make sure that when you get to the last chord, it's a slight roll. So you're going to start off with a D and a G string level, and then roll over to the A. Here we go. If you're getting some fuzzy sounds as if a finger is on an extra string, make sure that you watch your fingers and that your first finger, especially when it's on the A and the E, that it doesn't hit the E at all. So make sure it's on its tip and that it doesn't hit your E string. Let's do that one more time. The other double stop spot that's a little intimidating in this piece would be measure 89. So let's go ahead and play that, making sure that our fingers are only playing on the A string and that the open string on the E is really open. You can go ahead and play this without the open E string until you're sure that your fingers aren't touching any other string but the A. We're going to start our next practice spot pickup to measure 49 all the way to measure 51. In this spot, make sure that you put the grace note before the beat happens. So if this is the beat, it's going to sound ba-dum. You can also make sure that you put an accent on the downbeat note, which will help you overcome that hurdle. Let's do it nice and slow together. Our next practice spot is going to be measure 43 and 44. Let's play it together. This part is particularly tricky because of the switch from a high 2 to a low 2 on the G and the D, and then a high 1 to low 1 on the A and the E. Make sure you know the difference and that your hand knows the difference as well. Also, when you're playing these practice spots, you don't need to practice vibrato. You can practice vibrato separately, but really hone in on the intonation by not playing vibrato and making sure that you know where your notes are. Our next practice spot is going to be measure 52 through 55. And in this practice spot, Make sure that you don't rush the triplets. We're going to be playing it slow, but when you play it in a piece, especially, this cannot rush. They're triplets and they're not that fast. Also make sure that your high threes are high enough. So really listen for intonation. Here, let's do it together very slowly. Our last practice spot is really fun, but you have to make sure that you do all the other practice spots 10 times a day before you get to this one, because this one is a little too fun and the other ones are a little trickier. So this one is going to be from measure 79. We're going to start right there. We're going to do up till probably 89. Let's play this slowly together and make sure that you use a very small amount of bow, because again, once the piece speeds up, it's going to be really hard to use a lot of bow in this part. Now, just as a reminder, these last two measures that we've played, it helps if you keep your fingers down on the A string where you're playing the open E string. It also helps prepare you for the chords that are about to come right here. So let's play this one more time, just these last two measures, and making sure that you're leaving your finger down on the A string when you play the open E. Now that we've reached this point, in theory, you would have practiced all these spots 10 times a day for many days until you have each of them memorized. So let's go ahead and play through the piece at a leisurely pace.